Hey everybody, welcome to my Term 1 update. We're doing Sabbath schooling, I think it's called, where you do 6 weeks on, 1 week off, 6 weeks on, and so on. So we are almost to the end of our first 6-week term, and it didn't really go smoothly, to be honest. Hi everyone, welcome back to Bustling Home. We had the flu for about 2 out of the 6 weeks, so we missed a third of it, either with enough kids being sick that I really couldn't do school with the other kids, or I was too sick myself to do school. So that was a pretty big setback, but what are you going to do? I'm okay with rescheduling based on illness like that. I'm not going to change the break period because being sick isn't a break. Being sick was taxing for them. They don't need to have their break taken away simply because of something like that they couldn't control. And I don't need my break taken away for that either. So for what we were able to get done, I will go through subject by subject and let you know how it's been going. Outside of that 2-week period where everybody was sick at some point, I think we've been doing pretty okay. The biggest sticking point, I think, has been math. And that's kind of a stereotypical thing that math is always a challenge. I have a hard time understanding why that's the case, because I never minded doing my math. I would just sit down and do the worksheets and be done with it. Not all my kids are that way, though. And it's been a challenge for me to figure out what to do with that. My first instinct is to just find the worksheets that explain it and give them the worksheet and say, here, this tells you how to do it. Then you can do the practice problems. If you have any questions, let me know. And some of my kids can do that. My oldest twins are fine with that at this point because they're old enough and they have accepted their fate or something. My middle twins have had a much harder time with that. So they have actually kind of been curriculum hopping. And we started this process before they went to private school in the fall, and I never really got to settle the problem with them. So now I'm starting over, and we tried Math Mammoth because they're all excited to pick which chapter they wanted to work on. And the novelty of that very quickly faded. Math Mammoth, if you're not familiar with it, is a mastery-based curriculum that you can either buy the workbooks or a PDF. I have the PDF. And it's what's called a work text. So the instruction is in the same book as the actual practice problems. And the instructions the instruction is very clear and straightforward, and the problems are clear and straightforward. Which, at least for my younger daughter, is not the way she works. She likes unicorns and princesses and dancing and all fluffy things. So being just straightforward math was boring. Which, I guess straightforward and boring are kind of two sides of the same coin. I like straightforward. She does not. Anyhow, we tried mathematical reasoning because it's a little more colorful, at least, and doesn't have as much on the page. That didn't fly. I printed off The Good and the Beautiful, and initially she wasn't too excited about it. But once she really started working on it, she seems to like it pretty well. She likes the story. She likes that it has games. She likes the color and the pictures and everything. So I'm really hoping that we found something that she can at least stick with for a while, instead of having to troubleshoot this in another week or two. I think it's also helped her that instead of trying to do her math when all of the other kids are in the schoolroom in the afternoon, she comes up while the babysitter is here in the morning while I'm working and sits down and does her math quietly. And as long as I'm not in a meeting, I can still answer her questions as long as there's only like one child in there. I can't do all 6 because that's just too much. There's no focus if I have all 6 kids up there, plus a toddler. So she was complaining that there were too many distractions. Maybe that's just what she needs, is to be able to do it at a different time than the other kids. In any case, for the last couple of weeks, she's been really good about just coming up and doing her math, and then she does her handwriting, and she's really proud of herself for getting all of her work done so that she can have free time on her computer in the afternoon. So that problem seems to be solved. I don't know if it'll stay solved, but that's progress from where we were, because I was having a really hard time finding some way to get her to actually engage with the work in front of her. Now, her twin has also been having a hard time with Math Mammoth, and I can't really figure out why he's having a hard time with it. I mean, it's kind of the same explanation, that it's boring and he doesn't want to do it. Boring doesn't necessarily mean boring, and there can be a lot of reasons somebody feels it's boring. I don't know which one exactly applies to him yet. I haven't figured that out yet. So, in an attempt to remedy that situation, I have him working in mathematical reasoning, the same workbook that his sister had been using, because they're at close enough to the same level that it doesn't matter. And at least for yesterday and today, it seems to be working. So that gives me 2 data points. 2 data points makes a trend, right? At least it makes a line. I am cautiously hopeful that this will go smoother, but certainly not convinced that this problem is solved. Let's see. For my youngest twins, well, I thought about using everything for them, actually. I consider The Good and the Beautiful, which is really parent-intensive. Math Mammoth, everything is too close on the page for them to be able to write the answers. We had done Right Start a long time ago. I know that's too parent-intensive. Saxon is boring and parent-intensive. They are not up to the point that they could do Beast Academy, and they couldn't read the instructions quite yet either. Ultimately, what we settled on is Zern. I had tried, what's that online thing called? Khan Academy. That was kind of boring. Zern seems to be at least a little more entertaining, and it reads the instructions to them. So that's what we're doing for now. They're already, they would be in kindergarten 5K, and they're doing first grade math really easily. So I'm not too concerned about having them make slower progress on the math they're doing, or I mean, I don't really care where they are right now. They're doing something and thinking mathematically. That's enough right now. Right now it's single-digit addition, which they've been able to do for a long time. I'll work on progress with them later. It's just not a priority. Reading is actually a priority for them, which moves me over to language arts right away. I'm using All About Reading again, as I have with my 4 older children, because it worked really well. Now, granted, my kids have never had any reading problems. My 3rd set of twins, they don't seem to have any reading problems either. So, All About Reading is really overkill. I don't use probably at least half of it. I don't use the flashcards. I don't use the review sheets. I use the instructor manual and the games as needed. So mostly the instructor manual is so that I can look up what the focus of the lesson is supposed to be and just go over the cards as they're pictured in the book. I don't even pull out the cards themselves. Just I have them read some of the words that are used as examples in the book, and they read them without a problem. Maybe I'll have them play the game just because they like the game, not because they necessarily need the practice on it. If there's a specific rule, then we will play the game. Like maybe if there's one of the jobs of Silent E being introduced, I'll have them play the game so that they get some practice with that specific concept. Otherwise, we just sit down and read the books. I think there are 3 of them for level 1, and we're in the middle of the 2nd one. So I expect that we won't be doing level 1 for too much longer, and I'll move them on to level 2. What they're doing right now is kind of remedial work for them, I guess. And it's mostly because I don't want them to have a big gap in their knowledge. So I'm starting them earlier than I think they actually are. The older kids, we were reading the Poodle books from Michael Clay Thompson, or Royal Fireworks Press, however you want to look it up. And we were in the middle of Poodle Knows Poetry. We were supposed to finish that, and we didn't because we got flu in the middle of it, and that kind of derailed my routine really badly. So I haven't gotten back to it. It's kind of the same with a lot of the science and history and music theory also. Getting sick really derailed my routine, and I just haven't gotten back to a regular routine yet. What I think I'm going to do with those subjects that I was going to do once a week at lunch is I think next time I'm going to block them so that we have 1 or 2 subjects we're focusing on each week so that we can keep our heads in that subject. And I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and the kids know what we're doing, so that it's not like, oh, wait, what did we do a week ago? Does anybody remember what we did a week ago? No, I don't remember. So I think Michael Clay Thompson is going to fall into that category, that we'll just take a week and we'll finish this Poodle book. And then maybe we'll move on to a week of science or something, where we just do science stuff for a week. History, we'll maybe pick up one of the Beautiful Feet books for the early American history curriculum. And just what we do at lunch is read that book until it's done. Then maybe we'll move on and do, I don't know, Story of the World doesn't have to be blocked like that because it's just audiobooks. So maybe that'll be a filler in between things. And music theory, we're not doing during lunch. We're just discussing that real quick in the afternoons. German, I have not kept up with, and that really can't be blocked. We can't just do a week of German and then skip 5 weeks. So I'm going to have to figure out how to fit that in better so that I don't forget it. Let's see, science. We only learned a little bit about dinosaurs, but they do a lot of other science stuff. They watch Kurzgesagt on YouTube, which has some really good and entertaining explanations about scientific stuff and other stuff. Although it's not specifically geared towards kids, so don't just let your kids watch it willy-nilly. They like to watch Octonauts still. Well, one of the big things I think at this age is to teach kids how to think methodically and the basis of the scientific method, which the way my husband and I solve problems is already methodical and based on the scientific method. So I don't think we really have to belabor that point much with our kids, because it's just that's regular problem solving in our house. I'm not too concerned about missing out on a lot of science, although I think that they would enjoy having more of it. So purely for the exposure and enjoyment and excitement of doing it, I am going to try to incorporate it more next term. As I said, just like have science week as part of next term. I was going to try to do spelling with them, and that just, it's not a high priority. So I haven't. Simple as that. Music theory, we're just using Alfred's Music Theory. I think it's technically a piano book. And it's geared towards adults, but my kids catch on to things so quickly that the kids' music theory books would get boring. They would not want to do all the work in them because they figured it out the first time they did it. And that way it's only, we're only really doing it once a week, and they still haven't gotten to the point that they don't already know what the music theory book is teaching them. We'll get there pretty soon, and then maybe we'll slow down and find some supplemental materials for it or something. But right now it's basically review just to get them booted up. Going back to German. We've only gotten a few lessons in on this, and I really wish I would be more regular with it. Because they are using the phrases that they've learned just in day-to-day. One of my daughters came up and said, Guten Tag, Mutti, which is good day, mother. It's, or good day, mom. Mutter would be mother. And, she used it properly, and she checked with me to make sure that she was using the right phrasing for the right time of day. And she's like, well, when would I use Guten Abend? Well, that would be for in the evening, but not at bedtime. So maybe after school time, you could use Guten Abend. They ask questions like that periodically just to basically self-review what they've learned. So they are motivated to learn German, and it's my problem that I'm not giving them more exposure to it, to the stuff that they want to know. And I got to fix that. I think that covers pretty much all of the academic subjects. That's, I guess, how the last 6 weeks have gone. not the smoothest, and I have some ideas for what I want to change for next term. So by the time this comes out, we will probably be officially wrapping up this term. I'll be starting my kids on Liberty Kids, the cartoon show, which they can watch through their break week next week. And then I will use next week as planning week. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to make a video about how I'm planning our 6-week session. Till then, I'll see you later. Thanks for coming. Bye.